So the person needs to be in custody, they need to be found diagnostically eligible, and then they're brought into our court and presented and then found legally eligible or not. And from there, they stay in custody while my case managers work with the individual to link them to services in the community. And then they don't get out of custody until they actually have a place to go. So they need to have housing to go to. So it's going to either be a hotel, a boarding care, residential treatment. So we work really closely with the Department of Public Health, Community Behavioral Health Services to connect clients with treatment. I would say by far the majority of our clients come into custody homeless, and almost every single one, close to 90%, is at risk of homelessness upon release from custody. They would be homeless. When someone is incarcerated, particularly someone that's mentally ill that depends on Social Security benefits, those benefits are cut off once they've been in custody for over 30 days. So if they had permanent housing, there's no money to pay for that when the person's been in custody longer than a month. So they lose that housing. The majority of people get out of jail within a couple of days. However, there's also large numbers of people that stay in jail much longer than 30 days, not necessarily people with very severe crimes, but it just takes time to go through the criminal justice system. So in that case, quite a few people do lose their housing.
And so once you're homeless and you've had a record, you've been in jail, what do you think, if you have a mental illness, your chances are of ending up re-incarcerated at even a higher level?
I think statistics show there is a very high likelihood that if you were mentally ill and incarcerated, you will end up back in the criminal justice system.
And by very high likelihood, are you talking 2 out of 10 or?
Oh no, like 80%. There has been research done on San Francisco's mental health court that shows a reduction in cost to go. I believe what it shows is that initially it is more expensive to send someone through the mental health court system because the initial output is very high in terms of services, typically residential treatment, intensive case management. However, over the long term, you show a significant cost reduction because, one, these individuals aren't going to prison, which costs a lot. 2, they aren't going in and out of psychiatric emergency, which is extremely expensive. And they're not coming in and out of jail. So there is a cost reduction. Reduce the likelihood of a reoccurrence of violent crime significantly. And we found that we had the most success with folks who were facing more serious charges. So if they had more weighing on them, they tended to do well, which has been controversial because I think a lot of people view that as sort of coercive treatment. However, the reality is these folks have these criminal charges, and if we don't work with them, they're going to be on the street again, homeless, and they're on probation, or they have some sort of connection to the legal system. Why not help them get through that process more successfully and then come out on the other end with a better legal disposition than they would have had if they had stayed in the traditional criminal court?
To people who might argue that this is being soft on people who are otherwise should be punished, what would you say to that?
I would say that they should definitely come, as someone who feels that treatment in lieu of a traditional criminal justice sentence should come to our mental health court and observe the high standards to which we hold our folks. They would realize that it's not an easy way out by any means. It's obviously very different from just a straight up punishment. However, what we are doing is working to address the problems that brought the person into the criminal justice system in the first place. So we're working with them to help them stay on their medications. We're getting them housing. We're helping them connect to volunteer opportunities or vocational opportunities. We are working with CPS if they have a dependency case. I mean, we really are looking at these cases holistically, or looking at these individuals holistically and trying to help them manage all these different issues in their lives. And as someone that's worked with a lot of clients and sees how incredibly complicated all these systems are, probation, parole, the courts, the jails, the community mental health system, it's a lot for one person to manage. And for someone with a mental illness, it's even more daunting. So what we're really doing is helping this person to comply with all the things that are demanded of them in life, and also providing them a great deal of support to help them achieve recovery or go through the recovery process. Our behavioral health court typically has about 140 people in it at maximum, which I think is a drop in the bucket in terms of how many people within the whole homeless population we're actually helping.